Alright, so today we're going to look at two cartridges that might very well be two of the most looked at and discussed cartridges when it comes to somebody wanting to get into long-range precision shooting. That is the 6mm Creedmoor and the 6.5 Creedmoor. Both these are excellent cartridges for the task of long-range precision shooting. I have lots of experience with both these cartridges, and I have many videos shooting both these cartridges out to various distances. When somebody asks me which cartridge they might want to pick for their first cartridge for long-range precision shooting, 6mm and 6.5 Creedmoor are always up there on that list of your first cartridge that you might want to look at for the task of long-range precision shooting. There are many reasons why you might want to pick one over the other, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So both these have the same parent case, or you could say basically the same parent case. The 6.5 Creedmoor parent case is a 30 TC. The 6mm Creedmoor is just a necked down 6.5 Creedmoor. So it's the same case, just necked down to 6mm. So that's why I say both of them basically have the same parent case, because the 30 TC is what's needed to originally produce the 6.5 Creedmoor. The case capacity on both these cartridges is very similar. When we talk about case capacity, we're talking about overall water weight. So if you're to fill both these cartridges up with water and then weigh that water, you're looking at 52.0 grains of water weight for the 6mm Creedmoor, whereas the 6.5 Creedmoor, you're looking at 52.5 grains, so a half a grain heavier in the 6.5 Creedmoor. And that's just basically because the 6.5 Creedmoor has a larger neck, allowing for that little extra bit of water in water weight. The case shape, both of these, like I said, it is the exact same shape or exact same case, just necked down to 6mm, taking the 6.5 down to 6mm. So both these have the exact same shoulder angle. Both these have a 30-degree shoulder angle, which is a fairly sharp shoulder angle, and we've talked in the past why shoulder angle is a big factor in many things, velocity and barrel life. So that 30-degree shoulder angle is one of the reasons that makes both these cartridges such a good candidate for long-range precision shooting, because it allows it to build up that extra velocity. Now, that is pretty much where a lot of the similarities end. I ran a generic load, so we'll talk about velocities next. So I ran a generic load, generic data, using BCs that I have personally trued. So we ran the 107 MATCHKING for the 6mm Creedmoor, which is a bullet that I've been shooting a lot of lately, done a lot of videos here recently with. And with the 6.5 Creedmoor, I did the load with the 140 grain Sierra MATCHKING. Both those are heavy for caliber bullets, but not the absolute heaviest that you can get. So I tried to keep this very even. This generic load was done up with a 24-inch barrel in both cartridges, and both them using the same powder of Hodgdon's 4831. And I'm using the max pressure load for both of these, so with all things being equal for the most part. With a 6mm Creedmoor, with the max pressure load of 41.3 grains of H4831 with a 107 MATCHKING, with the generic load that I ran up, you're looking at 3,009 feet per second. With the 6.5 Creedmoor, with the same H4831, same 24-inch barrel, at its max pressure load, you're looking at 40.4 grains of Hodgdon's 4831 at 2,707 feet per second with that 140 grain Sierra MATCHKING. So there's a big difference in velocity, and with velocity differences can cause differences downrange. Typically, a cartridge that shoots faster is going to have a much flatter trajectory, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. So ballistics, so in my 28-inch barrel and Joey's 28-inch barrel, and used RBCs. So with that 140 grain Sierra MATCHKING in the 6.5 Creedmoor at 1,000 yards, you're looking at with a .271 BC, you're looking at 29 minutes of angle to get out to 1,000 yards. That is at 500 feet above sea level, which is where I typically shoot. With the 6mm Creedmoor, with a .269 BC, with that 107 MATCHKING, both these are G7 BCs, you're looking at 23.5 grains, so a significant advantage in trajectory for the 6mm Creedmoor. Now that is out to 1,000 yards. And you might notice also that both these have a very similar ballistic coefficient. Even though the 6.5 is a heavier bullet, 6mm has had such huge advancements in its bullet technology over the last few years, because 6mm has just taken over the PRS circuit, and PRS has become so popular that 6mm Creedmoors have just been made sleeker and sleeker. So even the not heaviest for caliber bullets have extremely high ballistic coefficients for the caliber. Factory rifles. Both of these have awesome factory rifle availability. Like this here, this is a Ruger Precision rifle. Ruger Precision rifle, you can find Ruger Precision rifles in both the 6mm and 6.5 Creedmoor, as well as other cartridges good for long-range precision shooting. But just like in the RPR here, almost every factory rifle, every company that makes factory rifles, every manufacturer, almost all of them make rifles in both 6mm and 6.5 Creedmoor. Even though the 6mm is such a new cartridge compared to the 6.5, it has taken absolutely no time for all these manufacturers to catch up with the 6mm Creedmoor. So now, it used to be a couple years ago, I would say, that the 6.5 Creedmoor had a big advantage in the factory rifle availability, but now I think it's pretty well neck and neck. That is the same thing with factory ammo availability. Factory ammo availability has taken absolutely no time for the 6mm Creedmoor to catch up with the 6.5 Creedmoor. You can get factory ammo for both these rifles for just about any, or both these calibers, cartridges, for just about any use you might want. Whether it's hunting, whether it's PRS shooting, whether it's long-range precision, there are so many different cartridges, or different cartridges available for both of these, that you can almost assuredly find a cartridge, a match grade cartridge, that is going to be a perfect fit for your particular rifle. Reloading, because there are so many factory cartridges available for both 6mm and 6.5 Creedmoor, there is a ton of brass. You can get brass for both these cartridges, for all the way from the highest Lapua Peterson quality all the way down to the cheapest Federal quality or Remington quality, and everything in between. There's such a huge selection of brass availability for both these cartridges, and I don't think there's any manufacturers that I am personally aware of that make a piece of 6.5 brass that don't also make a piece of 6mm brass. Recoil. Both of these have, or sorry, not both of these. The 6mm has a significant advantage in recoil, because you're launching such a much smaller projectile downrange with about the same charge weight. The 6mm Creedmoor has a much lighter recoil impulse than the 6.5 Creedmoor. The 6.5 Creedmoor is not a heavy recoil impulse, but the 6mm dwarfs, or the 6.5 Creedmoor dwarfs the 6mm Creedmoor's recoil impulse. Both of these cartridges are cartridges that my wife feels has no problem shooting without a muzzle brake, and if you put a muzzle brake on either of these cartridges, they're both going to be cartridges that I would have no problem letting even my 7-year-old daughter shoot. Like I said, both of these are very mild in the recoil department, with the 6mm being even much more milder than the 6.5. Uses. Both of these have many uses. Like I said, you can use both of these are awesome cartridges if you're wanting to get into PRS competitions. I have actually seen both these cartridges. I've actually shot the 6mm Creedmoor in F-class matches, and I've seen the 6.5 Creedmoor shot in F-class matches as well. As a matter of fact, Joey has shot his 6.5 Creedmoor in F-class matches. So there are many uses for both these cartridges in the competition vein. Also, hunting. I would, as a matter of fact, say the 6.5 Creedmoor might have a slight advantage in the hunting department, just because of the heavier bullet weight. Once you carry out past those further distances, it's going to carry a little bit more energy once the speed starts to wear off of the 6mm. The 6mm Creedmoor is an awesome varmint cartridge, and it's great for medium to small game as well, all the way up to white-tailed deer. I feel completely comfortable. As a matter of fact, I have shot a very large 12-point buck with a 6mm Creedmoor, and it dropped right there in its tracks. So all the way up to medium cat game, and I do know and somebody's going to comment on this video, hey, I've shot an elk with a 6mm Creedmoor, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just not the cartridge that I would personally recommend for those larger game. 6.5 Creedmoor is probably right on the edge of that type of cartridge that I would recommend for that. I would still like to use a larger cartridge, but if 6.5 Creedmoor is what you can control and what you feel comfortable with, it is has absolutely no problem stepping up to those even larger than white-tailed deer game. So that is the full comparison of the 6mm and the 6.5 Creedmoor. If you guys were looking at either of these cartridges, hopefully this helped. So I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.